Boys and girls, ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Clutch Conversations. It's your boy Mike. We back at you one more again, live on a Thursday night, man. I hope y'all doing good. Hope everybody's feeling good, feeling great, man. Happy to be here, man. We got an exciting episode on the lineup for you. We're going to get to that in just a second. But first and foremost, shout out to my lovely wife, Takara. Appreciate everything you do. Y'all make sure y'all show some love in the comments, but don't stop there. Show the channel some love as well. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and make sure you smash that notification bell so you can get notification each and every time we drop a video. Shout out to the audio only gang as well. Audio recordings of Clutch Conversations are available on all major podcasting platforms. That's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and more. So when you're checking us out on your favorite podcast platform, please be sure to follow, rate, and review. It really helps us out. We appreciate the feedback. We appreciate the support. Speaking of support, if you're involved in this reptile hobby in any shape, form, or fashion, make sure you're supporting USARK and USARK Florida. The links for both organizations are in the description of this video. If you're not a member, definitely go grab your membership. If you're able to donate, please donate what you can and make sure to spread the word about both these organizations that help protect our rights as reptile keepers. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to show some love to the sponsors. Shout out to the homie Shane. Shout out to the homie Justin. We'll be right back. Big dreams start in small towns. Small Town Xotics is a family-ran business that specializes in high-quality ball python morphs, western hognoses, and select leopard geckos. They are proud members of USARK, USARK Florida, and the Orient Society. Stay connected with Small Town Xotics on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Witness their journey as they grow their business and showcase their animals to the world. Thank you, Small Town Xotics, for sponsoring the show. Art comes in many forms. At Armless Angels, it comes to life. Shout out to the sponsors. Appreciate your support. Let's see who we got in the chat tonight. Blakers Pythons, what's good, fam? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. Roll 5.0, what's good? Wiztang Clan in the building. What's up? What's up, fam? Sammy, what's good, bro? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. Y'all make sure y'all check Sammy out on Holly's show. I believe it's next Wednesday at 7:30 Central Time. Y'all make sure y'all slide through and show some love. Appreciate you coming out, fam. Eric's More Factory, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. 352 in the building. What's good, Brian? Appreciate you coming out, fam. Wiz Constrictors in the building again. What's good, bro? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the support. Scales, Fins, and Feathers, what's good? Appreciate you coming out. Man, Freddie, what's good? More Valley Reptiles in the building. The big homie Rock, what's good? Appreciate you coming out, fam. The Sultan of Support himself, Bosa Reptiles in the building. Appreciate you coming out, homie. See who else we got. Bone Daddy Serpents, what's good, fam? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. See who else we got in the building. Lindsay, what's good? Clutch Conversations alumni. Appreciate you coming out. Mark, what's good? Brotherhood Exotic Moors. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. Jason, what up, fam? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. Ken, what's good, bro? Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. See who else we got. We're gonna stop it right there with Holly. What's good? Let's go. Appreciate you coming out. Appreciate the support. We're gonna kick the intro. We're gonna be right back with the guests.
Baby, won't you listen to me? I got that flavor. I know you're dying to feed. I ain't no dancer, just got some hip in my feet. Now throw your hands up. Ooh, you bring the lighter, I got the fuse. You make a fire, I'll add the fuel. Follow my lead, just watch your shoes. Gotta turn the heat up. This cool. Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this? Who you know who looking like this for real? Who you know who looking like this?
Oh my gosh, my stomach hurts.
Episode 90, Gray Rider Reptiles. What's good? What's good, bro? How you doing?
What's up, Mike? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on, man. Been looking forward to it.
Of course. Yes, definitely.
Cool, cool. So real quick, man, give everybody your elevator speech.
Charlie, Gray Rider Reptiles, ball python keeper, breeder, and do a little genetic testing on ball pythons.
Nice, nice. I definitely want to do a deep dive on the genetic testing, but we'll say that to later. Let's talk about the ball pythons a little bit. How long you been in the ball python game?
Breeding a little over 2 years. This will be my third season breeding, but I had a ball python in the 90s, from pet store in Brooklyn, just full of mites, horrible, but kept it in a big aquarium. Thing never ate, but there was no YouTube or any of that then to figure anything out. So you got to go based on what the guy in the store is telling you, who doesn't know what he's talking about here. And then probably in the 2008, around that time, I found like fauna classifieds and king snake, and I was like, oh, there's some more morphs. I bought a couple like head albinos, spider, pastel, had a few. I was going to breed them, but wound up selling them all and not doing it. And then just like almost 2.5 years ago, maybe I bought my first couple of snakes again, and it just kind of snowballed.
Gotcha. So back in like 08, I think you said, you remember what like the head albinos and stuff we were going for back then?
I remember I bought a 66%. I used to go to the White Plains Reptile Show in Westchester, New York, and I remember I saw an albino, and I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. I was like, I gotta get one of them, and I was like, no way, I can't afford one of them. And so I bought a 66% head albino. It was probably a normal, and that was a female. No, that was a male, and I actually bought a head albino female. I want to say it was probably only a few $100. I mean, I didn't have a lot of money to spend, and I can't see myself spending a ton of money. But I remember I bought a pastel female that was about 600, 700 grams for $700.
Okay, back and they used to do like $1 a gram.
Yep. And then I bought a male spider. I want to say he was probably about $500-600 or something like that.
Okay. Were you thinking about breeding at the time?
Yeah. I saw a bumblebee, and I was like, oh my God, I got to make one of them. And we lived in a condo in Westchester, me and my wife, and she was my girlfriend at the time. And we were in 2010, we got married, and we're planning the wedding and everything. And I had this homemade melamine rack in my kitchen, and she was like, we can't have this anymore. Like, when we get a house, you could get snakes again. And I was like, all right. So I sold them all, and we got a house, and she didn't let me get snakes in the house. And we got another house, didn't let me get snakes. I didn't really ask about it. It was kind of like, an afterthought. But then about 3 years ago, I built this big like workshop on my property, and I was like, man, I could probably keep a snake up here. I was like, nah, I'd have to keep it heated, and so I built a little like kind of closet type thing that I had its own heating insulation, and I had like 2 or 3 ball pythons in there. And then I was like, oh, I got to make this bigger, and so I built a whole room in my workshop that is finished, and it's just a snake room. So
Nice.
she don't care. I can do whatever I want up here. She don't give shit.
So what was it that kind of like drew you back in, like this most
we went to, because now I live outside of Albany, New York.
Okay.
And we brought my son, who was probably 1 year one. We brought him to the Saratoga reptile show, and I'm looking around. I'm like, oh my god, look at all these new morphs that are out. Like, this is crazy. Like, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, you know. And then I couldn't believe the prices. I remember a dreamsicle back in the day. I was like, oh my god, I would love to have one of them, but they were thousands and thousands of dollars. And I see one for like it was like $800 or something, like $1,000. Or I was like, oh my god. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to buy one now, but I'm going to go home. I'm going to do a little more research, but I'm getting back into this. So I did. I came home and I just dug in and found all the YouTube channels now that everybody has. And, you know, I knew about Morph Market already, you know, once the Blue Moon, I remember like I would stumble upon it, but never really dug into it like I did a few years ago. And, you know, then you start meeting people. You buy a couple, then you start meeting people, talking to people, and, you know, it's like a, you know, community, and it just is something I wanted to continue doing.
So this was what, 2020-ish?
It was like the tail end of COVID. So when like 2020, 2021, something like that.
Gotcha.
Because it was like the first show that after COVID was over that they had. And I was like, oh, all right, let's go.
Gotcha.
And we had to wear masks at the show and everything, I remember. And, but yeah, that it was probably 21, I guess, then.
Gotcha. That's how my first couple of shows was, because we started in 2020. And so like the first show we went to was probably like summer of 2020, like maybe July. It was a Jacksonville show. It was a Repticon. And so it was at the time when they were doing like the 2-hour blocks. Like you buy a ticket for like a 2-hour block.
Right.
X amount of people can come in at once. You can only come in during that 2-hour block. It was all masked up and stuff like that. And then that August we went to Daytona, and that was like the second show. And they didn't have the blocks, if I'm not mistaken. No, they didn't have the blocks, but it was still masked and stuff like that. So yeah, all my first show experiences was like with masks and the COVID and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I didn't realize that like so many people had got into it during COVID until way later. And I'm like hearing COVID breeders, what are they talking about? Market boom during COVID. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess all these people had money and they were staying home. And you know, I had no idea. It wasn't on my mind at the time. I was still working, you know. I wasn't sitting home. But
cool. So back then when you first got back in, like this kind of like last round, you were checking like out a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff like that. So who were you checking out?
What's that guy's name? He's not around anymore. Oh man, he's kind of goofy guy.
Hardwick.
Yeah, Chris Hardwick. Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I checked him out early on too. I ain't gonna lie.
He was probably the first one that I found, and then I found I don't even. I'm trying to think, like Canova. Well, it was Justin Kabilka, and I've heard the name throughout my years, and then I, you know, found his stuff, and I started looking more, and then it just everything, like, you know, just everybody pops up, and I tried to watch every one of them, but I specifically remember the Chris Hardwick ones, watching them like in the chats. Like that was my first time like ever hopping in a chat or anything like that with that guy.
Yeah, I never hopped in like live chats. I didn't realize he did that.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I watched a lot of Chris Hardwick at the beginning, like his recorded videos or whatever, like the ones where he would like pull up morphs,
right,
on Morph Market, World of Ball Pythons and stuff like that. And like
literally, like when you search ball python on YouTube, it was his videos.
Yeah.
That was it. That's who I found. Like, you know, he was up top. You know.
Yeah, all the time, and especially like for the stuff that I was looking for. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was another one too. I forget that I watched quite a bit at first. Um, Olympus Reptiles, I think it
Yep.
is the guy with the
Yep.
purple shirt.
Yep. He's still on. Yep.
I watched that. I can't remember his name, but I watched that a few times, a lot
Mhm.
at the beginning too.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
And then obviously start coming across folks like Canova. At the
Right.
time when I first got in, it was JKR,
Yep.
but Ozzy, all the big names and stuff like that.
And I feel like Miguel too was like
Miguel,
the
yeah.
first couple. Like he was always up high on the list in YouTube. His was a bunch of them I was looking at. But yeah, I don't really remember everybody. I just remember just sitting up and watching them like crazy.
Yep. Devoting a lot of time. So when you first got back in and you start like building your collection, were you thinking in terms of like building a collection? I want this project base, or were you buying more like animals that you like? Like, what was your strategy at the time?
The first two I bought were breeder sized, male and female. Not
Okay.
proven, but they were breeder sized, and they were just, what was it? A leopard pastel to a pastel Mojave. I bought them. I was like, oh, let me see if I could do this, and the first season, and it worked right away. I had like 6 perfect eggs. Everything was great. I was like, this is so easy. And then the first snake after that I bought was a coral glow het clown female hatchling from Justin, and then because I really liked his coral glows were always just so crazy looking compared to like all the other bananas I saw and everything, and I was like, oh, that'd be really cool because coral glow clown was so expensive even a couple of years ago, and so that was one thing. And then even in the beginning though, I did say, like, I would talk to people like, I'm not buying clowns. I'm not buying a bunch of clowns. Everybody has clowns. I'm not doing it. And then you can't help yourself. But I knew I liked the dark stuff, so that's when I kind of started getting into the acid stuff and
Okay.
things like that. And candy and pies, because I always wanted a dreamsicle. But then I saw everybody had dreamsicles, and I was like, I don't want to do what everybody's doing. Then I found out Sal Gomez's YouTube I saw, and it was he had all this candy stuff, and I was like, oh, there's not as many of them out there as there is lavender albinos. Let me get into that. So I bought a bunch of candy het pieds, pied het candies, things like that, and so that's still a pretty decent amount of my collection is the candy clown pied stuff that I have.
Okay, nice. This is your what, third season?
This is my third pairing season coming right now.
Yeah. Coming up. Okay. And how did last season go? How many clutches did you have?
I bred for like 10 or 11, and I think I got 6. One slugged out completely. That was my most anticipated clutch.
What was it?
It was my super Wookiee acid to a clown.
Ooh.
So I was really hoping to make Wookiee acid het clowns, and 9 slugs. I was devastated.
That's a gut punch.
Yeah, and 2 girls just they grew follicles and then reabsorbed. But
are you running that back?
What's that?
Are you going to run that pairing back, or are you going to do something different?
I sold the super Wookiee acid. I do have one of his babies though. I have a Wookiee acid het candy. Okay. So I'm gonna get that into the candy clown pie stuff. But and I had a black pastel blackhead acid boy that I bred, and I kept some of his babies, but I sold him as well. Mainly because the genetic testing has been taking up so much of my time that I really, really am trying to keep the collection as manageable as possible. So a lot of snakes I sold that I really didn't want to, but planning and thinking, and I'm like, it's not worth it. I should sell these and just buy something with, multiple genes and, just double visuals, visual hats, things like that, just to try to keep a smaller but more high-end collection, just because I just don't have the time.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so how many clutches are you shooting for this upcoming season?
Not that many. I probably, if I get lucky, I'll probably do the same, like 6 to 8, because I sold a lot of my breeders, just because I didn't need them anymore. There was nothing else to do with them. And, I sold that and I bought a lot of hatchlings. So this year is not going to be big, which is fine. I know I'm building the other side of the business and everything right now, so it's fine. But in 2 years, when all these hatchlings that I invested in recently grow up, then it'll be a different story. So, I like things happening quick. I don't have much patience or anything. So it was very hard for me to go back and just buy hatchlings all over again. And, because I don't want to make snakes that I'm going to have to sit on or just contribute to the 50,000 of them that are on Morph Market that aren't selling because everybody's making them. So I don't need that. I don't want to spend the time trying to sell $100, $200 snakes all day. So, I made the decision to get rid of a lot of the older stuff and just kind of start fresh with a lot of younger things. I still have all my candy pied clown stuff that'll be going for me this year. Hopefully make some cool candy clown het pieds, things like that. But other than that, I don't really have. Oh, I have 2 clown females that'll be going to a bongo that are already pairing to a bongo GHI het clown male.
Okay, that's nice.
So I'll make some stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not gonna kill myself this year trying to go for a million clutches.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And that's actually a good segue into the genetic testing. So give us a little bit of background about how you got into the whole genetic testing space and what that process of getting into it looked like for you.
So background on me is I have no science. My scientific background is computer science. I have a computer science degree. That's it. I have no biology besides what I took in college or anything like that. But I like to learn things on my own, no matter what it is. Anything I am interested in, I have to know how it works. And if I can make it myself, I do it. Even though I could buy a perfectly complete finished product, I'd rather spend the time in the workshop or in my garage building it and researching. The research is kind of what gets me going, is digging in and actually learning and finding how things work and seeing if I could actually do it. I see Phil calls me a nerd. He's just as nerdy as I am, if not worse. Yeah, that's like how I am. So it was a few years ago when Dr. Hannah Seidel was on Brian Rivera's Samson Snakeatorium, his show, and she was talking about how she's doing genetic shed testing, and I'm like, wow, like that's awesome. Like, because in my head even before then I was like, well, I wonder if there's a way to figure out if ones are really het or not DNA wise or whatever, but never really thought that deep into it. And then she came out, I was like, wow. I'm like, I wonder if there's any way I could do this at all. And I always told myself there's no shot. Like, you're not a scientist, you're not a doctor, you can't do this. But anyway, that night I went on Google and I fell in a rabbit hole and I started researching then on, and then I slowly built up confidence and saying like, all right, I'm kind of getting this. Like I'm figuring out how this works. But then it was like, all right, wait, can I afford the equipment, to do this? So even more research, and I found some affordable equipment. It was still, a decent investment that I didn't want to make if I wasn't sure it was going to work. I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on equipment and reagents and then it just be a complete bust and nothing happened. But so that's why I did like probably 6 months of research before I even purchased anything. Then I finally was like, I could do it, and I bought everything, and probably another 6 months of screwing up and figuring it out and talking to a million different real scientists and websites and YouTube and trial and error, blowing through tons of money on reagents and shipping these things on dry ice. And, it was expensive learning process. But then I finally kind of figured it out and I got it. And I still at that point was only testing my sheds and other people close, people in the industry sheds. And then once I knew it was really working, that's when I was kind of announced it. And I never thought it would get to even where it is now. I thought it was just going to be whatever. If I could test a couple a week, that'd be cool. Or if I could do 8 or 10 a week, that'd be sweet, just to pay back myself for all the money I spent initially. That's what I was hoping for. And then just test my own stuff and friends, and here every once in a while, maybe people will pay me to test theirs. And then it just, I don't know how, but it just kind of blew up.
Nice.
Yeah. Especially then when I got the clown and the cryptic test. I knew it was going to be busy after that, but I did not expect it to be that busy because those were genes that were already out there. What's up, Terrence? So I didn't think that, everybody was going to be sitting on all these clown sheds waiting for me to get it. And they were. Like, so the day I announced it, like, I got tons and tons and tons of orders. And I was like, okay, they'll trickle in. Like, because people got to wait for their snakes to shed. No, people had.
They had them.
Like, so the next week I got bombarded with sheds. I was like, I had to go out and get a PO box, like because my mailbox was just stuffed with sheds. I ran out of reagents after the first week, even though I bought so many extra. Like, I was like, sorry guys, it's gonna take another week. I ran out of stuff. I have to order it now. It was it was nice though, like to see that people were actually hoping that I would get it and waiting for me to get it, and then trusting me to test their snakes.
So what all equipment and supplies, like you spoke to the reagents, like what exactly does that do, and like what other kind of supplies, and then what's like the main piece of equipment that you spoke to?
The main piece of equipment is a thermal cycler. So it's something that it does the PCR. So the polymerase chain reaction. So it's after you extract the DNA from the shed, you mix it with certain primers that basically find the location. So let's just say albino. I have specific set of primers that I have to mix in with some other things and the DNA. And when I put it in that thermal cycler, it does cycles, like heats up, cools down, different temperatures for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It does that. And during those cycles, these primers basically attach to the location for albino and multiply it and take one piece of that DNA and make billions of copies of it. And then from there, that's when you could either run it on a gel electrophoresis, and you could check based on the bands, or you ship it out to another lab and they sequence it, and then they send you back like a graph. And then you look at the graph and you look for that specific location for albino, where it should be. And if it is het, it'll have one copy of the albino gene, one copy of the wild type gene. If it is a visual, it'll just have the albino gene. And if it's nothing except normal, it'll just show the wild type gene. So that's pretty much how that works. But yeah, the thermal cycler is pretty much the main piece of equipment that's used, because you also use that for the DNA extraction. You have to incubate the shed in certain chemicals for a certain amount of time in that to release the DNA out of the cells. Then you need things like centrifuge, like the things that you put the tubes in and they spin really fast. A vortex.
That's the only thing I know. That.
Yeah, a vortex that shakes and mixes things really well. And then a gel electrophoresis machine, where you make a gel and you put it in this machine, and you make little wells and you put the DNA into each well, close it up, press power, and then slowly the lines show up. So that's another piece of it. And then tons and tons of like tubes, because and tips for those pipettes. You only use everything once. So when you pick, you get something in the garbage. So you don't take into account how much money you're spending on plastic consumables, be it the tubes or the pipette tips, everything,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you mentioned early on, like you kind of went through a lot of stuff, just kind of like through a trial and error process. Like what exactly was going wrong in the process?
So even in the beginning, in my mind, I thought that everything that Dr. Seidel put out, you could do on a gel. So like I'm trying to test my snakes for het albino, and nothing is working right. Like I'm testing known thing and nothing is working right. So I call the company I buy the equipment from. I'm like, hey, this isn't working right. I'm doing everything that says like what, and they were nice enough to be like, can you send me what you're following, what scientific papers you're following up on? And I sent them, and they're like, oh no, you have to sequence this as well. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Well, how much is one of those machines? They're like thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. I'm like, holy shit, I just wasted all this money because I'm not going to be able to spend all that money on them. It's like, no, you could just ship it out to a company and they do it. And but that really took the wind out of my sails because I thought everything was just going to be boom, in-house, quick for everybody. But then I found out that when you pay these companies to do that, the turnaround time is usually 24 hours. You know, if you overnight ship a bunch of samples to them, they'll usually have results back the next night. So it wasn't that bad. But finding those companies, setting things up with them, it all took time, and just trying to talk to scientists that have no idea about snakes and the snake genetics, and explaining to them what I'm trying to do is like, it's what are you talking about? Like, it was just so I would sit on lives like this with scientists in labs, and I'd be pulling out snakes, like, see, look, this is a piebald. And just trying to get them to understand what I'm trying to do. So it was definitely tough.
So was it like contacts at like universities and stuff that you were working with, or was it like
mostly private labs?
Mostly private labs. Okay.
Yeah, mostly private labs. Dr. Seidel, she's a very busy woman, so she helped me when she could, but a lot of it was private labs and, like I said, trial and error, and just doing it until it worked.
Gotcha. How'd you feel when it finally started working?
It was like when I got like first results back for my snakes that I knew were and I'm like, oh my God, this is it. Like, so then I had to send it to a real scientist because I'm like, am I right? This worked, right? They're like, yeah, no, it worked. You got DNA, and it multiplied that specific location, and it's showing it worked. And even that, like, there's different ways of doing, like yellow belly has its own way of doing things. Hypo has its own, so they're not all exactly the same. So it took time to master every single one of them.
Gotcha.
And that's the thing. You don't want to announce that you could do a certain gene until you've like, even in the beginning when I announced it, I wasn't doing yellow belly in the beginning. Even though I knew how to do it and I've done it for myself, I didn't master it yet. Like, I would have to redo it a lot before I figured out how to get that working perfectly. So I didn't want to offer it. People would always ask me, can you do yellow belly? Can you do yellow belly? Yes, but I'm not offering it right now. If you want to send me a shed, then I'll mess with it. But
what exactly is it doing like differently, or like what exactly are the genes doing differently?
Yeah. So yellow belly, for instance, it's that the thing that causes yellow belly is a deletion of nucleotides, pretty much. So most of them, like albino, clown, if there's like TCGA is a normal, but if it's a G, it's a clown. It's one location that just switches. But in yellow belly, it's a deletion of a certain amount of nucleotides that makes it. So you have to, after you do the normal DNA extraction and the PCR, you then have to use a restrictive enzyme and do a whole nother process with that. And it adds a lot of time onto the process, and there's more room for error. So it took me a little while to exactly figure out the quantities of each reagent to go in. And, there's a lot of messing around with, percentages and all that.
Generally speaking, the folks who you reached out to for help, especially early on, were they generally accommodating, or did you ever have anybody push back and say, scram, I ain't got time for this?
No, the scientists at the labs and stuff, I couldn't believe how accommodating they were.
Nice.
Like, they were just so shocked that when I would be talking to them for a few minutes and then I tell them, hey, wait, can you slow down? Can you speak to me a little bit less technical? I'm not a scientist. They're like, what? They're like, what do you mean you're not a scientist? I'm like, I'm not a scientist. I'm no doctor. I'm nothing. I'm like, I'm doing this on my own. You're looking at me in my house right now. They're like, you're not in a lab? I'm like, no. And they're like, that's awesome. Let's help this guy. Like, they actually, I was afraid it was going to be the other way, that it was going to be like, who does this guy think he is, trying to do what we went to college for and became doctors for, and he's just trying to do it on his own. Who does he think he is? But it was quite the opposite, actually. There was most people were really cool with me.
Nice. That's what's up. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. So you got what, 10, 11 that you're testing for now?
I think it's like a dozen. I think it's
A
12.
dozen? Okay.
Yeah.
And so how many sheds are you testing a week now?
Probably 100.
100 a week? Nice. Nice.
Maybe it really varies. I'd have to look back and see the average, but some weeks it could be 100, some weeks it could be 50, some weeks it could be 40, some weeks 60. Maybe I average probably 60, 70.
Okay, okay. And about how much time does that take?
Too much. Just ask my wife. No, so my day job, I normally work 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday to Friday,
Okay.
but that varies. Sometimes I'll be up late at working late at night or early in the morning, and things get screwed up. But on an average week, I try to pick two to three nights during the 5 nights a week where I spend like a couple hours in my lab, aka my basement, doing shed testing. But since it is at home and there is some time between steps, like when the thermal cycler is doing its thing for 2 hours, where I could come up, hang out with the family and everything like that. But now that it's busy, while that 2 hours is going on, sometimes I'm already prepping for the next batch that I'm going to do the next day. So it's a few hours a night. Some nights I'm up till 12, 1, 2 in the morning doing it. Because if something messes up, I can't go to sleep without knowing that I actually could do it right, like without fixing the issue. Like I won't be able to sleep. So it'll be midnight and I'll get results out. I'm like, oh my God, these didn't work right. What I do? And I'm like, oh, I remember what I did. I have to do it again now tonight. So now I'm up till 2:30 in the morning doing it, and I have to get up at 6:30 in the morning to go to work. So,
Gotcha.
but
Somebody
yeah,
mentioned like your quick turnaround time in the chat earlier. So how quickly are you turning them around?
so it depends. Like certain things like hypo, piebald, yellow belly, candy. Now I could do at home. Those ones I usually get done within a few days. Sometimes and it all depends when the shed comes in, what day of the week, and what I'm doing that day. So there's some days where I could stop in my PO box on the way home from work, get a stack of sheds, go through them, put them in the system, and look what I'm doing that night. Like, oh, I have 2 spots open on this hypo run. Let me throw this guy's in there, and that guy gets his results that night. So the day I picked up the shed, he could have his results that night.
Gotcha.
But it used to be a lot more like that. It's a little more rare now that people get their results the same day or even the next day. But I try to keep it as a max 2 weeks. That's always what I said, 2 weeks. I don't want it to go more than 2 weeks.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So, but now I was mentioned to you before, I'm trying out a new process with a lab that I use. So they're going to be doing more steps for me. Instead of me doing as much at home, they're going to take on a little bit of that. It cuts into my profit margin, and it takes a little bit more time because I have to ship it to them, and they have to do it in their lab. So if they're not going to get it done the day they get it, but it's going to free up more time for me to do more research to come up with more tests. But I was specific with the lab. I said, listen, my thing is the turnaround time. I'm like, if you guys can't commit to this turnaround time I'm expecting and I give out, then I can't use you. And, they gave me their word that they'll be able to do, 2 weeks should be a maximum thing. But even some, like the ones I could do at home, or once in a while, if somebody messages me like, hey, I really need this by the weekend.
So which tests are you outsourcing?
Everything now.
Everything.
Not outsourcing, but so clown, albino, most of the genes you have to send out to a lab anyway for sequencing.
Okay.
you know. So I had them set up a whole special project for me so that they're doing more of the process that's going to save me a little bit of a time at home.
Okay, gotcha.
So they're going to do some more at the lab. It costs me more money to have them do that, and I'm not raising prices. So that just cuts into, but still I'd rather have the time so that I could get more tests out, because everybody's always, can you get this? I can, and I want to, and I have a lot of things that I want to do, but I can't. The one problem with RGI is that they have one guy who's doing it all, and they want to come up with all these tests, but then that hurts the people that are sending them the sheds. So that's why a few weeks ago, Ben asked, like, so what do you guys want? Do you want fast results or do you want more tests? Because it's hard to juggle both.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm just me. I can't afford to hire a scientist to work for me to do it. So I have to figure out other ways so that I can continue to move forward and get more genes, get more tests, but at the same time keep the prices the same and keep the turnaround time good. They won't be, next day or in 2-3 days most of the time. Sometimes they might. Sometimes I might not be busy and I can bang stuff out that night, and maybe you'll get your results in 2 days. But it's going to be more like week to 2 weeks.
Gotcha. So when you say more genes, more tests, do you mean like new genes that currently aren't available for testing, or do you mean like you acquiring both? Okay.
Yeah. So it's hard. It'd be hard for me to get any gene that they don't have already. Because the ones that people want is the ones they go for. So I'm not going to spend the time and the money to come up with a test for, a gene that, a handful of people have, because it's not a good investment. I'm not going to make my money back on that. But there's still genes that they have that I want. So I have to do it myself, because they spend money and time to find it. It's not like they're just going to give it to me. So I have to do the same thing they're doing to get them. But
so what does that process look like? Like to get them?
So the way that we'll be doing it is, say monsoon is probably the first one I'm going to do. Say I get a bunch of visual monsoon sheds from a bunch of different people. Say I have 20-30 sheds. I extract the DNA out of those sheds. Oh, was that me? I extract the DNA out of those sheds. I send it to a lab, and they do whole genome sequencing on those sheds. And then you have to do bioinformatics on that, which is basically IDing where the difference is between the pool of those 20-30 sheds that I sampled and then a normal ball python. So you have to compare them and then find where these peaks are, and then dive down into those peaks and do some tests, make some primers, and figure it out that way. So it's not easy, and it costs a lot of money. So gotcha. At least for me, it costs a lot of money because I'm not a big lab or a big business that I could get discounts on anything or like that. So it definitely isn't cheap. So I have to be sure that I know it's going to work, because I don't want to dump thousands and thousands of dollars into something, which might happen. I could spend $4,000 or $5,000 and get nothing back.
Gotcha.
It's a risk.
So I need you to do me a favor, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said this like multiple times throughout the show, but like going forward, from this point forward, don't ever say you're not a scientist, because at this point you're a scientist, bro. Because the way you just broke it all down for us, like to where we can understand it.
Yeah.
You're a scientist, bro, at this point.
I appreciate it, but I have a lot of learning to do, and that's the thing too. A lot of times, if I'm up late at night, not even testing, I'm just Googling and researching and watching videos and trying to learn more and more. But
so have you thought about like expanding like the business and like bringing more people in, whether that's an employee or getting some like investors to back you, stuff like that?
Yeah, especially in the beginning, I was like, all right, maybe I should see if anybody wants to be an investor. But me not being a scientist, I didn't want to take people's money and not be able to deliver. I just couldn't. I didn't have the heart to do it. Like, I didn't want to be like, hey, give me 10 grand and I promise you, you'll get your money back. And who knows, maybe it never worked. I just didn't. I didn't need the money to do it, but now I've invested pretty much every dollar that I've made off of this right back into either the snakes or the genetic testing. So I'm almost at the point now where I could start saving money, but still, it's just going to go right back into it because it costs money to pay for these tests. Yeah, I have. I've thought about it a lot, getting investors and partnering up with somebody, but it's tough. Most of the big guys, big names in the business, they're RGIs. They're the guys. They're the leaders in this. I have no problem saying that. Ben is doing this for a lot longer than me, and they have the money behind them. They have the big name behind them. It's tough.
Is there ever an opportunity?
I'm not the person that's going to go out there and beg for help, pretty much. If the opportunity arises and somebody comes up to me and said, hey, listen, I got an idea. Let's see if we can do this. I'm open. Send it my way. I just don't like asking people for money or asking people for help.
Would they ever sell you like some of the information for some of the ones that you don't have the data on?
I doubt it. It would be tough because it would either cost a ton of money and probably not be worth it for me.
Mm-hmm.
But they're literally their only competition. And I'm not even competition for them, really. They still have 100 times more business than I have, and it is what it is. So I don't even consider myself to be competition at this point with them. But I don't think that I've talked to Ben. He's a nice guy. Talked to him a couple times. We're cool. They're awesome, but they're just doing things differently than I am. And fortunately for me, people like how I'm doing it. So, I try to stay in contact with every single person who does a test with me. I would say 90% of the people who place orders, I'm talking to them on Instagram before they ever even place an order.
Gotcha.
So get people comfortable and get them on there, keep them updated on the process. Got your shed today. Yeah. If you ask me a question, hey, is it going to be ready by this day? I'll do my best. I'm doing this today, doing this tomorrow, figure it out. Do you need it by this weekend? Yeah. All right. I'll take care of it. I try my hardest to keep everybody happy. It's hard sometimes. Sometimes you just can't do it, but I like everybody to be happy. So I have gotten rid of my other business. My other business was making signs and CNC work and stuff like that. I've completely stopped doing that as of last week. So that frees up some time for me. But and then the problem is like my day job. Like at any moment, my phone could ring right now, and I could tell you, hey, I gotta go, and I have to leave. So sometimes there's no choice. If I could work 4 days straight and not come home, it could happen.
Gotcha.
But still, I'm glued to this thing. So when people message me, if I have the one or anything in my Instagram message thing, it drives me nuts.
Gotta check it out.
If I see
the little red,
it has to be clear. I have to see it. So, if you don't hear from me within probably a half hour, either I'm sleeping or some really crazies happen at work or it didn't go through. That's it. Otherwise, I'm at the dinner table, I'm checking it. My wife hates me for it, but it is what it is.
What are your thoughts on DG? Like these most recent developments?
Yeah, hopefully Ben has it figured out. It looks like the DGC is, if it's not V gene, it's a very good marker. we gotta check. We gotta see a little more data about making sure it's not calling things hets that aren't. I know it's calling the hets individuals properly 100% of the time, it seems like, based on his last video. But now we just got to make sure it's not calling non-hets, known non-hets, hets. So for his sake, for their company's sake, because I know they spend a ton of time and a ton of money on that, I hope it works out. And for everybody else, because it sucks sending your shed, spending the money and not really knowing if the result is 100% or 95%. Give me 95% and I'll be happy. Not 50, 60, 70, 80%.
Yeah, for sure.
But so hopefully for them and everybody else that need DG tests, that it does work out. And it seems like the Canadian group might have figured it out as well. So
who exactly is the Canadian group? Like, is it
it's a university in Canada. It's a university. That's why their stuff usually gets published, because they're a university. They're not a private organization. They have not published Clown and Cryptic yet, and VPI Exantic, which from what I heard was supposed to be a long time ago, but things happened and it hasn't gotten published yet. That's why I don't have VPI Exantic yet. Ben traded with them, so he got Cryptic and VPI Exantic from them for other genes, but I don't have any genes that they need yet. So maybe when the time comes when I do, they'll be up for it. But
how did you get Clown?
I bought Clown from another scientist in Europe.
Gotcha.
So I'm not his competition, So I've been working with him, and we're working on a few more things. So it's good to have somebody who's an actual scientist that I could throw things off of and know that I have somebody in my corner that is going to help me when I need it at all times, So yeah, it definitely, it wasn't cheap, but it was well worth it.
I imagine Clown's probably, if not your top, one of your top. It's the top, hands down.
Yeah. Clown, I would say Clown, Pied, Hypo, probably that order. Maybe even Hypo before Pied.
Yeah, I got some Posset Clown stuff to send you.
Yeah,
as soon as they shed.
Yeah, and Ultramel, been getting a lot of Ultramel lately. People must be getting more into Ultramel. In the beginning, I wasn't getting much Ultramel, but now I'm getting a lot of Ultramel.
So there's an Ultramel like
A and B.
A and B, right?
Yep. So A came out from Dr. Seidel, well, B also from Dr. Seidel, but there was probably about a good year where we didn't have B. We were just testing for A. But in America, I think like 90-something% are A. There are definitely some Bs out there. But Ben just actually had a video today talking about it as well. He got something from Europe that he tested that was B. I have yet to test somebody's Ultramel that turned out to be Het B. So we'll see. But we could do it. They're compatible.
You read my mind. I was about to go.
They're compatible. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you can basically have like a Het Ultramel A, Het Ultramel B.
That's the visual
Ultramel.
Right.
Working like Clown and Cryptic.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep.
Okay. Nice. Yeah. So I have some Ultramel stuff to send you at some point too. Yeah. Ultramel, Clown, Hypo. You got Pied?
Yep.
You got Pied? Okay. Yeah. So
Johnny, I saw that. No, I have not sent in any sheds to them, but I would. Like, I just got into Desert Ghost a little bit heavier this last few months. So if I had to, I would. I have no problem sending them sheds at all. I'd refer people to them when people come to me looking for stuff. I'm like, nope, go to RJI. Here's their link. I want what's best for everybody. Do I want to be successful? Yes, 100%. But I'm not gonna, screw you over and be like, hey, I might have DG soon. Don't send it to them. No, send it to them. I don't care. Or even like with panels, like I can't do a panel as cheap as them right now. They do their testing a different way. So if somebody comes to me and says, hey, can you do a panel for me? I say, listen, I could do, if you know a few genes that you want to get tested, I could do it and give you a good price. But if you want a whole panel, go use RGI. It'll be cheaper and they have more genes.
With the panel testing, how does that work? Like, they got to, I'm assuming, like run every single one of the
No, so
genes.
for me, that's how I would have to do it. I would extract DNA from your shed,
Uh,
and I could use that single extraction, so I don't have to extract different DNA every time. Then I would have to do 12 different tests using that DNA, and it's just not worth it because I'd have to charge you a lot more money than what they'll charge you for their panel. And the way
Gotcha.
they do it, they use next generation sequencing, and you have to make up different primers to use that way. I have a lab that is helping me, and they hopefully we get that all set up soon where I'll be able to run panels for very affordable price.
Nice. Nice.
And that's the thing, like that's the time. I need the time to get on the phone with those people. And it's just hard when the second I get home, I'm running tests, So hopefully this new process I'm coming up with and a little tiny bit more patience from everybody. Like I said, I'm not gonna make you wait a month or two to get results. Never. I hate it. I hate it. So it's just might take a little bit longer than normal. Nothing crazy though. Probably
Nice.
most people are awesome though. And they get shares like, hey, do you need this like anytime? Nah, they're growing up. Whenever you get to it.
Do you have anybody that's ever like pushed you and trying to rush you?
Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, not as much as the other people that are cool with it. There are definitely a couple times there are people like message you every day. You get it yet? You get it yet? You get it yet? No, give me. I'm doing my best. Or something happened at the lab, like because that happens too. Sometimes you send your PCR products to the lab and they'll run everything, and then you'll get back a jumbled mess, and it's just something on their end that went wrong, and I can't give you results from a jumbled chart. I need to give you results from a perfectly clean looking chart. So now I have to do it over again and send it out. So that could add another 4 or 5 days.
Gotcha.
There's always things that can pop up that can make somebody's experience not as fun as somebody else's. Whereas if I got your shed tonight and I'm running a hypo run and I get your results at 10 o'clock tonight, you're like, oh my God, you just texted me and said that you got this shed. How did you give me results already? But then there'll be people that'll wait a week or two. But I do my absolute best, to try to get everything done as quick as possible.
Gotcha. You ever thought about, like, I know time is a valuable commodity and it's also like a scarce commodity for you, but you ever thought about doing like a YouTube or something like that?
I've thought about it. I just right now I can't. I don't have the time. But I can't add anything else to my plate. But I'm in the middle. I have somebody redesigning my website, and I have somebody like he's making an awesome database and streamlining a lot of different things just even through the website, because a lot of my time is data entry. So I have somebody kind of automating a lot for me. It costs me a decent amount of money to get this guy to do all this, but that's going to be another time saver.
Yeah.
But it's also going to be a cool benefit for you guys, because eventually I'm going to have it set up where you'll get text messages or emails every step of the way. Got your shed, boom. Just 'cause sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'll get sheds in and I'll forget to tell you I got it. And then a week later, hey, did you get my shed? Yeah, sorry, I forgot to tell you. But now I'm going to have everything set up so it's like super professional, streamlined, awesome databases, and just top notch.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that hopefully within a week or two, I should be in testing mode for the site. But then another thing I'm going to do is, a lot of people have asked me about, buying in bulk. I get people awesome discounts whenever they're buying in bulk, whether it's 6 sheds or whether it's 100 sheds. I try to make it, as cheap as possible for you. But I'm going to start doing a thing where now you could go in, set up an account on my website, and say you probably need maybe 50 sheds tested over the next few months. You could buy those 50 sheds at a discounted rate, and they'll just go in as credits on your account, and you could redeem them whenever you want for whatever gene you want tested. So you don't have to be like, all right, I think I need 5 pieds, 20 clowns. No, you're just going to buy 50. And when certain snakes shed or a clutch comes out, and you're like, oh, I need to do 8 ultra mils. All right, I got credits. Boom, enter 8. Send me the sheds, and it just takes it off. So there'll be levels. There'll be like 0 to 9, 10 to 20, 20 and up, 30, 40. I'll try to make as many steps as I can. If you're a big breeder and you want to buy 500, buy 500. I'll give you an awesome price.
Nice.
With
This is a
that.
great question. Too, is actually something I wanted to ask about. So break down for like those who've never like sent in a shed or anything. Like, how do they prepare their shed? What's like best practice? What are do's and don'ts and stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's a huge thing, because a lot of how you prepare it depends on how successful I'll be. So if you know that you have a snake that you want to get tested, obviously when it's going to shed. Pay attention, when it's going to go into shed, because you want to get that shed out as soon as you can. And then once you get it out, unroll it. Don't leave it in a crumpled ball. I say it every single time I'm on a show, but I still get crumpled balls of poop, or wet sheds. Oh, shit. Let me get it. I have this one hung up here. So just nice, open, clean, and then you don't have to send me the whole thing. Just rip a piece like that, throw it in an envelope, and send it. If you want to send me the whole thing, I don't care. Send me the whole thing. But if just as clean as it can be, it doesn't have to be super clean, but try not to have it sitting like this in the tub, get humid as hell, and it grows bacteria, degrades the DNA, and makes it harder or impossible for me to get DNA out of. So even like this is a hatchling shed I just took out today. I don't need to test it, so I didn't unroll it, but don't leave it like that. Don't leave it like this. Take it, unroll it. Even if you can't unroll it all, throw that part away and just keep that flat. Either hang it on your rack with a magnet or something, or lay it on the ground flat. Let it sit for a good day or two, nice and dry. You want to hear it crinkle. And then you could throw it in a Ziploc bag. When you throw it in the bag, I ask for your name, your company name, if you have one, because sometimes I get names, and like I said, I like to reach out to people on Instagram. I'll spend an hour trying to find the person, their Instagram account, just because I like to message you directly, not just send an email, because not everybody checks their email all the time. So your name, your company name, the genetics of the snake. You don't necessarily need the genetics of the snake, and if you don't put the genetics of the snake, then put whatever the number for the snake is, like 23-7-6, or whatever, some type of identifier on that shed, especially if you're doing multiples, so that when I come back to you, I say 23-7-6 is het for a piebald, 23-6-9 is not, and then you have most people, when they send me like 20, 30 plus sheds at a time, they'll make their own spreadsheet and just label everything 1 to 30 and send it to me with a number on it. And that's all I need, because I'll just tell you, number 4 is this, number 7 is this, number 10 is that. And then you just look back at your spreadsheet and you see what you got. But names are the biggest thing. Like, cause sometimes I'll open envelopes and I'll throw the envelope away and I'll be like, oh shoot, the person didn't put their name on the shed. And I'll have to go back, find the envelope. Oh, okay, this is who it is. Just think, and the test that's needed. Yes, I can go back and look and see what you ordered. It just takes more time, and it's easy for you just to write test for hypo, test for het hypo, test for clown, whatever. That's it. It doesn't have to be crazy. Some people awesome. Some people like print out, labels and put them on there, like index cards in there, like great.
Nice.
Love that. That if you put a sticker on it with everything that you need going on there, it makes my life so much easier. But I'll never ask anybody to do any of that. Whatever you do, you do. Just as long as you have an identifier on it and your name, we're good. The more you put on there, the better.
Nice. And we're gonna take a real quick break to play the sponsor video. We'll be right back. Come back and chat some more.
enough, family. We invite you into the heart of our serenity, Ancestral Royal Pythons. At Ancestral Royal Pythons, we're not just breeders, we're nurturers of love and growth. Each of our high-end ball pythons is a tribute to the grandeur of the natural world and our dedication to quality. Reach out today and bring one of our creations into your home. This is Ancestral Royal Pythons. Your journey begins here.
Here's to the exciting world of Ebony and Ivory reptiles. From unforgettable parties and events to keeping and hatching some of the dopest reptiles in the reptile hobby, we're all about education, quality, integrity, and respect. Hit us up and see how we can help make your next project a reality. Experience Ebony and Ivory reptiles, where fascination meets fun.
Ebony and Ivory reptiles.
Appreciate it. Appreciate the sponsors. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Matt.
Those are professional ass videos, man. Whenever I see that, I'm like, man, they did a good job.
I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate it.
And Zach, every day is a Black Friday sale, buddy. But yeah, I might do something Black Friday. I might do something a little different. I got to figure it out. But I always give like discounts to people, you know, when they're sending in a few sheds and everything like that. So it's hard for me to give monster discounts because I'm already very, very low on the price. I keep my margin very small right now, and I want to keep it that way. And that's to get back to what you said about investors. I was talking to somebody probably about 6 months ago about it, and for them to get their cut just adds more money. I have to make the prices high. I don't want to do that. I don't want to raise prices ever. You know, I want them to stay the same or be lower. So, you know, I want to be able to give somebody discounts when they're sending me in 7 sheds. You know, 7 sheds is a lot of sheds for some people. You know, that's a lot of money. You know, so, but to me, 7 sheds isn't a lot. But to you, it is. You know, $50 a piece, that's $350. You know, that could be a snake for somebody. You know, so I try my hardest to give people you know, discounts whenever I can. But you know, so for me to just do like a huge sale, I might, especially once things slow down sometimes, and I'm not as busy. Like, all right, let's go here, 20% off. Let's do it. You know, I just can't tell when that's going to be because right now my P.O. box is full every day. So it's just tough. And I definitely want to take care of people, especially when they're doing a lot, because I know that's a lot of money. And I appreciate everybody who sends me their sheds. It's like, I can't believe it. Like when I open that P.O. box and I see it's stuffed and then there's a key in there because the guy had to put more of them in a bigger box to go get it. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, damn it. But then I'm like, all these people are trusting you with this. Like, this is awesome. Like, yeah, it's a lot of work and it's a lot of time. And sometimes it's a lot of headaches, but you know, I'm trying to make it available for everyone. You know, if you have a couple of snakes and it's really not worth you to spend $50-$60 to get something tested, but you really want to, and if you got to pay me off $10 a week, I'll do it. Whatever. You know, I'm not going to tell anybody no. It's hard. I'm very bad at telling people no. But you know, I try to work with everyone. I don't want it to be just if you're a big breeder, if you have a lot of money, and you could call me up on the side and be like, Charlie, I'm going to send you 100 sheds tonight. Can you get them done before everybody? No, sorry, it's not happening. No.
Respect, bro.
If you send me 2 sheds and they come in before the 100, yours are getting done first. Sorry, I do them as they come in. Sometimes, yes, if I have a run, I try to do certain tests at the same time, because once you start doing multiples in one night, it leads to more mistakes that could happen. You know, so I try to do. So if I'm doing a big lavender run, the other night I did a lot of lavender, and somebody just had sent me one, and it was brand new, but somebody else had a hypo waiting. their lavender is going to get done before that hypo because I happen to be doing it and I have a spot for it in the machine. So, you know, it,
That makes sense.
things like that. Yeah. Some people will jump in front of others. It all depends on what I'm doing the day that I get your shed.
That makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So kind of like thinking back to the beginning from a business perspective, is there anything that you would have done differently if you had it all to do over again? Or
I probably would have bought better equipment first time around because I very, very soon after I had to upgrade, I just really didn't expect for it to. I guess no. I can't say I would do it different because I didn't know that this was going to happen. I didn't know that I was going to be on your show. I didn't know that some of the biggest breeders in the game would have my cell phone number now. I'm nobody. I have 40 snakes here, you know, and there's not 40 monsoons in there, you know. So, but now the coolest thing about it is talking to all these people that have been doing this for a long time and have such insight. And, you know, I've got to meet so many people that know who I am now. It's like, wow, you know. So there's not really much I would change from the beginning, because, you know, I really didn't expect it to be this way. And then there's times even that I was like, you know what, I don't care. I'm not going to spend the money and find any more jeans. I'm just going to sit back, and people will always need some of the tests I have, and just make this a very small thing. But then at the same time, when I have everybody saying, we love your service, we love everything, it motivates me to do more, you know. So I appreciate anytime somebody compliments me or anything like that. It definitely pushes me and makes me want to do better and continue growing and keeping up the service and the customer service and everything like that. That's my main thing. I don't ever want to have to ignore somebody because I'm busy.
nice.
Because I hate that. I hate when I message somebody or I message a company that I'm buying something from or somebody I just sent money to and they don't get back to me. That gets me upset. So I can't do that to you. If you're sending me your money and you're trusting me to test your shed and you send me a message, I'm answering. That's it.
Mike said that you were the popular kid at Tinley.
Yeah. It definitely. I lost my voice the first day. It was funny.
You lost your voice the first day?
Yeah. My voice was all cracking the second day.
So what were people saying to you when they came up to you, and was it kind of surreal for you? Like when people recognized you?
No, 100%. It was definitely like weird. Like I recognized, I mean, because I watch a lot of YouTube and I'm always, watch, so I know what most people look like and everything. So people I see, I'm not out there as much. Yeah, I've been on a lot of shows, but people don't necessarily know my face. But they'll see my shirt. Somebody like, hey, are you Gray Rider Reptiles? Yeah. Oh, hey, what's up? I sent you a shed. Da, da, da. It's like, oh, awesome. Like, that's cool. So it was definitely fun. Even like Ben from RGI, he grabbed me. I was walking by, he grabbed me, to say what's up. I was like, oh, this is cool,
Nice.
But yeah, it was definitely fun. And, I think it was good for people to get to know me more as like a person and talking, and not being a real scientist helps, honestly, because I can explain things a little bit different than somebody who does this as their career, because I know even for me, when people are explaining things to me now, still, I'm like, slow down. I kind of understand what you're saying, but I got a few questions to ask.
Yeah, you did a good job breaking it down. Like when you were talking about like the process and the scientific elements, you did a real good job, like slowing it down, breaking it down, and explaining it in a way that like a person like myself who has zero experience in that space can understand it. So kudos.
Right. Thanks. But yeah, you are pretty dumb, Mike. You make cool snakes though, so you got to pass.
Nice. I was just checking out that comment there. So you talked about upgrading the website, having like a different kind of like database and tracking, and automating some messaging and like outsourcing certain parts of the process. What else are some new things that you're kind of like maybe haven't fully committed to, or you're thinking through, or maybe some stuff that you have kind of fully committed to doing like in the near future?
One thing that I always throw out in my head is like some type of thing like a Patreon or something where it wouldn't be cheap, but you could get either a crazy discount or X amount of shed tests every month, but also have, you know, things like this face-to-faces all the time, whenever. But the thing I can't figure out though is how am I going to stop people from just taking all their friends' sheds and send them to me as well? You know, I would love to have like a little. And at one point, I got so busy and frustrated because I had no time and things were like just getting nuts that I was like, maybe I'll just say, hey, listen, I'm only going to take on 20 customers and that's it. And big customers and just do. But then that defeats everything that I'm about. Like, I don't want to do that. So, but
so if you were going to give them like some free sheds as part of their Patreon membership,
yeah, so it would be like
a specific number.
Yeah, it would either be like that's the thing. I'd have to come up with a price that people would be willing to pay, and then an X amount of sheds that they could do per month or per year, or just a discount on whatever they do, like a big discount. So one, I guarantee myself getting X amount of dollars a month. But then the thing is, like, you know, you get somebody who joins your Patreon that has 1,000 animals. Then I could easily just run myself right to the ground. You know, so there has to be some type of cap, but I don't know. So that's one thing I always throw around in my head. Like, what can I do to make it a little bit different? Like, the experience is what I want to make people like, because that was a big thing. A lot of people, especially in the beginning, were not believers in genetic testing and were skeptical about it. And I want to make people like have the best experience they can with it. Like, I had one guy who was like, dude, I'm really nervous about sending sheds in because what if you don't get DNA out of them? You know, I've had some of these sheds sitting here for a little while, or, you know, I keep my my hatchlings really wet so they get awesome sheds, and I don't want to spend all this money and you not be able to get DNA. I said, well, I retest your sheds for free until I get DNA. I said, you send me a shed and I don't get DNA out of it, because luckily that's the first step, is I'll know if I get DNA or not. After the second step, I'll know if I get DNA or not. If I don't, I'm not spending the money on sending it out to get sequenced, because I know I didn't get DNA. So yes, I'm going to lose out on a few dollars in reagents and consumables to retest that, but I'm gonna retest it. I'm not gonna be like, hey, sorry, bud, you screwed up. You sent me a shed that was a little too wet and I didn't get DNA out of it. Put another order in next week. No, I do it until I
taking care of your customers.
And he was like, wow, that just put me at so much at ease. And he sent me 25 sheds. And he's like, I have probably 100 more to send you. So let's go. You know, and he's like, I give him the results. He's like, you've made this experience so awesome and relieved me. And I'm saving so much time now, not holding all these back, because he was holding everything back. He wasn't testing anything. And he's like, I wish I talked to you a year ago. You know, just ease people's minds on things. Like, I'm not here to take your money and just leave you hanging. It's not how it goes.
And would you say, generally speaking, like when people get something tested to see if it's like hit and it's not hit, they may be disappointed, but are they relieved? At least now they know, and so they can conduct themselves accordingly.
I hate giving negative results. I always tell people, hey, sorry, you know, hey, it's not your fault. And everybody is like, dude, it ain't your fault. Thank you. You know, and now I know. You know, of course, people will be mad, but they're not mad at me. You know, I can't change what their snake is.
Yeah.
You know, but it's like they are. People like, you know, I mean, this sucks, but thank you. Now I know I could sell this snake, or I don't have to keep this and feed it for another year and a half until it breeds. So
Is anybody like when you gave them a negative test? Did anybody ever doubt the results?
yes,
And what
and
do you do?
I retested for them multiple times. I've done it for one person because they
Okay.
swore that their snake was something, and I said, I'll pay for you to send it to RGI just so that you could show that it's not.
Did they did they
They
take you
didn't.
up on it?
They didn't take. They wound up believing me on it. But if you're really, really doubtful, I'll do it again. I'll eat the money. Just I want you to be happy. And even sometimes people get real crappy odds. Like if I'm testing, if you send me 50% het pieds, and I test all 8 of them, and they all 8 come back negative, it happens. It can happen. But I usually do it again, just because I want to make sure that I didn't screw something up. But I'll put a known het in there, so I'll know my test works. But those odds aren't good. So I like to if somebody sends me 8-10 sheds and they all come back, or only one comes back, like, all right, listen, give me a few days. I'll retest them for you for free, just to ease my mind and his mind. And I've never had it where it comes back any different, but it's still just a peace of mind for me and the customer.
For sure. Cool, man. So we're getting close to the end here, but before we get out of here, I do have some wrap-up questions for you.
Yeah,
and these
sure.
are like totally random questions for the most part. So the first one is, if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Probably I've been to Spain, and Spain was awesome. I could live in Spain or Ireland. I drove around Ireland once, and there's some really cool places to live out there. But me and my wife always talk about that, like, if I retired, maybe we would get a house in another country or something and spend some time there. But I really liked Barcelona. Barcelona was cool.
Oh, nice.
A couple places around Barcelona we saw were really nice. So yeah, I would say probably somewhere in Spain.
Nice. And so this next one, I kind of feel like I know at least a little bit of how you potentially answer this one. But if you won $10 million, how would you use it?
I would retire from my day job. I would pay somebody to do all my snake stuff, and I would not clean a single rat ever in my life. Rat tub.
Rats suck sometimes.
And honestly, if I had that much money, I'd retire, and I'd have to build either this business up or another business up. I'm old, but I'm not that old, and you want to keep earning money with that $10 million. So I'd probably hire somebody way smarter than me to help me with this genetic testing stuff, and just come up with some crazy shit. Just try to get like top like technology, and the way things come out like just interests me so much. Like, I don't know where this is going to go. I don't know where my type of testing might be obsolete in a few years. Somebody might come up with something where you dip a shed in a reagent and it just pops out on a computer and says, this is what your snake is. I don't know. Based on what I know about science, it's probably not going to happen anytime soon, but you don't know. It's crazy. So I like to be on the cutting edge of technology with everything. So that's kind of how I would invest some money. Then I would invest other money. Buy some cool snakes. That would be investment snakes, but I wouldn't go crazy. Yeah, like some people are like, I'd have a huge facility. No, I'm going on vacations. No way, man. Buying some sweet cars and taking vacations, and that's it. I'll have some snakes, but I'm not buying a Canova facility.
Nice. Yeah, I figured you would say that you're going to invest in your businesses, so I guessed right on that one. So the last random question: if you could have dinner with any 3 people, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
My brother-in-law, who died a few years back, I would have dinner with him. But then I like Einstein, some crazy smart scientist or inventor that came up with something years and years and years ago before you could ever research anything online or anything like that. Because that's what always blows my mind and drives me to figure things out is how did this guy figure out that voices could go over a wire across the country, or whatever, just the craziest things. Like, how does TV work through an antenna, like satellite? Where's the video? How come I can't see it? Like, somebody really, 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 really smart figured that out. And I would love to sit down with somebody like that. Like, tell me, how did that come out? Like, where did that come from? We have it easy now. We have it so easy.
It's so
everything you need is right here. Like, look at me. I'm not a scientist. I figured this out. I could have figured it out from right here. You have to have the motivation and the desire to learn more, which luckily that has not got faded away with me. So I always like to figure things out, and we can now. Like, we're spoiled. I don't pay anybody to do anything because I could figure it out from a YouTube video. Just taking a chance and realizing that everybody is human, and the guy that you're paying to do your pipes or install your air conditioning system, probably not that much smarter than you if he is at all. He just learned it from somewhere, and now we could all learn it. So, but yeah, like a science like Albert Einstein or something like that would be cool. And then let's see, who else? Jesus. Is that can I say Jesus?
Yeah. I think
whether you believe or not, I would want to be like, dude, all right, did you really do these miracles? Like, is this like legit, or is this like, tell me, I want to know, is this Bible real? Like, what's going on? Like,
yeah, like definitely top 3 answers in terms of like who people say when I ask this question.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like I didn't know, because I got slightly distracted because like Chris typed, I don't know if he typed Jesus or if he typed Jesus, because Jesus was in the chat earlier. And it came up like right as you said it.
Yeah, I think that would be cool. Like, hey, tell me about this. Like, what went on? Like,
nice, bro.
Did you walk on water, or is that just BS that I read in the Bible? Go on, let me know.
Hey, how did you do it? Because I got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was perfect timing. Like, as soon as you said it, it popped up. I was like, wait, what? Did you type it? Yeah. Oh no, that's Chris. Nice, man. So it's been dope, man. It's been a really good episode.
Yeah,
lots of gems dropped, lots of great information, man. Definitely can't wait to go back and rewatch this, re-listen to it, man. Really appreciate you coming out tonight. Is there anything you want to tell folks before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, no, just look forward with hopefully the next few weeks. I'll have some updates coming on the website, shedtesting.com. If you ever need me for anything, just reach out. Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me. Rider Reptiles on Instagram. And yeah, I really appreciate everybody. And like I said before, all the kind words and everything really keeps me motivated to keep pushing forward, especially times where I'm exhausted and, my family is mad at me for not being around as much. But then when I get somebody that just thanks me for negative or positive result and be like, hey, this was great, thank you. All right, let's keep doing this. Let's figure this out.
Nice.
We'll work it out. And I tell my wife, I'm like, listen, I'm trying to figure it out. I'm working things out. Soon enough, I'll have more time. But right now, I don't.
Shout out to the wife, man, because we can't do anything about this.
Oh, she's the best. Like, she takes care of our 3-year-old who's a handful, who he loves the snakes. He loves the DNA testing. Like, he'll see me go into the basement and be like, Daddy, you doing, he says, DA? You doing DA? Yeah, I got to go do DA. And he'll come down. I'll give him some old tubes or something and some old sheds. And like, he'll just mess around with it in the corner. and he'll hold every snake in here. He's awesome. So, but as most of you know, even though they want to do all that with you, it's great. It does slow you down.
The scientist in the making.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's been an amazing episode, man. I know everybody enjoyed it. I know everybody learned a lot, man. I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate y'all showing love. Appreciate the support. Shout out to the replay game. Shout out to the audio only game. Everybody, if you haven't hit that like button, definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hook smash that notification bell. And make sure that you are following Gray Rider Reptiles everywhere. Go check them out. Shedtesting.com. I got all the links in the description of this video, so definitely go check this out. Can you hang back for a couple minutes?
Got it.
Cool. Everybody else, man, we're gonna get out of here. Thank y'all for coming out. Be blessed. Peace.